first ministry was as an assistant pastor of Dr. Herod in Easley, South Carolina. And I was only 17 when I began that, but then I had gone on to seminary. But he knew me from those years and knew that I had a seminary training and felt that I could be of help in some ways to sort of help bridge gaps. Well, when I got here, I realized that a young squirt like myself was not going to be able to solve everything all at once, if ever.
Bob French came into my life at a difficult time when I had trouble trusting much of anyone but God. How refreshing and comforting to conclude that this man deliberately and carefully patterned every area of his life after Jesus Christ. His passing is painful to me. He was one of my dearest friends. I received encouragement and inspiration from him. In fact, you couldn't be around him long without receiving both. Among many other things, he was an evangelist, teacher, Great Commission statesman, and an intellectual. He was interested in everything and everybody, but his interest was all connected to his passion of sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. Some thought him to be the absent-minded professor, and probably he was. But he forgot more than almost everybody I know has ever learned. He was a leader among those skilled in leading.
In sharing this tribute, while we can talk about his leadership influence here at Hobe Sound, not many realize the tremendous influence and contribution he has made that goes far beyond this campus. Brother French worked with other organizations involving various churches and camps and conferences. My first acquaintance with my friend Brother French took place in the 70s when he came as our evangelist to our New York camp. This knowledgeable evangelist, he was quite a reader. That week before speaking at the first service at the Binghamton camp, he had already read 3 books. You could tell that in his preaching. As an evangelist, convention speaker, the influence of this man was being felt across the country as well as other countries. Thank you, Brother French, for your willingness to work with other groups. G.R. French did something that former influential pastors seldom do. In my 17 years as pastor, Brother French never sought to interfere with my leadership. There was no hindrance, only help, coming from the existing power of his influence. Again, thank you, Brother French.
I'm convinced what we've always heard that they say is true. Behind every successful man is a woman. And French was his excellent helpmeet and special friend. She's one that has enough grit to say, "You bombed out on that one, didn't you, buddy?" But enough grace to say, "But I believe a little extra work over in this area would be excellent. You are really gifted at this." Bob was often on the far side of the earth building a world-class international missions organization, and was the enabler, keeping home, church, and the office on an even keel. Not long after Sister French retired and came to help in the Gospel Publishing Mission office, Brother French said quietly to me with a heart full of pride and admiration, "She's good, isn't she? She can figure out how to do anything." I had to agree. She thrives on a challenge, and whatever she does is done with excellence.
The tapestry of life often involves the intertwining of threads. One of those threads that has intertwined with my life is the golden thread of the life of Anne French. Our lives have intertwined in some wonderful ways. First of all, musically. Our lives have intertwined musically, and she has often served as the accompanist and pianist for a number of the vocal ensembles that I have been involved with, both here locally and overseas. Anne and I have laughed talking about pianos that she has had to play on in various places around the world. Our lives have also intertwined through interesting travel experiences. Her late husband, the Reverend G.R. French, would dream up these mission trips or educational expeditions and invite Anne and me to join him and help in the planning and the arrangements. And those times were often challenging for Anne, as there were so many elements to pull together, but I have seen her demonstrate patience and perseverance and commitment and faithfulness in facilitating the ideas and plans of her husband. One of those trips was a fantastic 3-week church history study tour all across Europe and the United Kingdom. And Anne faithfully assisted in facilitating that, and all of our lives were enriched by those experiences. Another way in which the life of Anne French and myself have been intertwined is through ministry experiences themselves. Her husband would invite me to be a part of mission trips, and Anne capably helped with some of those. But also the ministry in Miami, of which I was a part for several years, was a ministry that Anne and I shared, particularly in the leading of the music. She would play and I would direct the young people in singing those grand hymns of the faith. And what wonderful times we had leading worship together in the city of Miami. Ministry experiences have also involved worship experiences and Bible studies and prayer groups in their home. Even now, I'm currently involved in a prayer group in their home, and Anne has been so gracious to open up her home for Bible studies and prayer groups, of which I've had the privilege of attending for many years. Another way in which our lives have beautifully intertwined is through friendship. While we've been neighbors for 20 years, we've been friends and colleagues for over 30 years. And Anne is much more than a neighbor. Although we are in each other's homes frequently, our families have shared many dinners together, special occasions. But Anne has been a regal, righteous, royal Southern belle and a very gracious, caring, and compassionate friend. I am so grateful, so honored that the golden thread of my neighbor and friend, that the thread of her delicate and lovely, gracious life has intertwined with mine. I am truly honored and truly blessed to call Anne French my friend.
In recent years, our friendship became closer, more like a family member. As neighbors and retired pastors, obviously we got together frequently and we enjoyed reminiscing. More particularly, in our discussions, we helped solve most of the problems existing in the present church world. We had all of the answers. In our friendship, the Frenches cared for my family when I had to be away in meetings, and I appreciate their help. When I was home, he told me, "Paul, I know what books you should be reading, and you ought to be doing some writing." Again, thank you, Brother French. I can't tell you the sadness that comes to my heart as again and again I pass the French home there on that corner. I can't believe my friend is gone, and yet I have to admit he's in a better location than living on the Alabama place. Thank you, Brother French, for your life, your prayers, your influence, and your friendship. Indeed, a prince in Israel has fallen.
Considering all the really great things that Bob and Ann French have accomplished, something that amazes me is the hundreds, perhaps thousands of people who consider them to be their mentors and spiritual parents. They've taken time to influence thousands of people towards salvation in heaven. I and my wife Gay have been privileged to work with a few spiritual giants in our lifetime. Bob and Ann French are right up there in the top row. Rejoice, for great is their reward.
Your people in my heart.
The effect of her life began to spread out across the world, not only in the United States, but now through the work of missions that was established, and particularly through the ministry at Hobe Sound, Florida, where there were camp meeting services every year that were challenging, and beyond that, missionaries called to every continent in the world. I'm emphasizing that to simply say that it's not all what we ourselves do, it's the way God uses what little we do to touch others that keep spreading out. And this has been the case with the descendants of Rebecca.
Here